Welcome to Laotong Publishing, where stories are rooted in faith, resilience, and second chances. You're listening to The Widow's Vineyard, a grace and love after 50 original series about healing, hope, and finding love later in life. If this story touches your heart, we'd be honored to have you like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes in hope. Episode 4: The Table Between Us. Clara stood at the kitchen counter, arms crossed, eyes locked on the foil-covered pan of chicken spaghetti like it might try to escape. It was her best version, creamy, cheesy, with a little extra garlic this time. She even toasted the top just enough to get that golden crust. But now, on the morning of the church luncheon, it felt ridiculous. She hadn't been to one of these in years. Not since she stopped believing she belonged at a table with women who knew where their lives were going. Lord, if this pan can be a peace offering, a prayer, and a shield all at once, then bless it, and me too. She wrapped it in a towel, grabbed her keys, and headed out. The church fellowship hall smelled like heaven and high expectations. Folding tables were lined end to end, each one covered in plastic gingham, and anchored with a dozen slow cookers, glass dishes, and foil pans labeled with names written in thick Sharpie. A few women wore aprons, one wore pearls. All of them smiled a little too tightly. Clara set her dish on the far end of the table and stepped back. Clara Benson! She turned to find Doris Fay, floral blouse, frosted hair, and arms already outstretched. We didn't expect to see you back so soon. And with a dish. Clara smiled. Thought I'd reintroduce myself the proper way, through carbs. A few chuckles floated nearby. She tried to breathe. The room filled quickly. Chatter swirled. Sweet tea sloshed. Forks clinked. Clara sat near the back, half watching, half praying. Her casserole was already half gone, which honestly felt like a miracle. Maybe she hadn't lost her touch. Then came the whispers. Two women leaned in just a little too close. Not to her, but close enough. She's staying out there alone, you know, the vineyard. Well, she's not alone. That Daniel Reeves is there too. That man's got a past. I heard the church elders still don't trust him. Clara kept her face still, her hands neatly folded in her lap. But her heart ached. She thought she was stronger than this, but those words, they landed. And they hurt. Lord, why does it take so long for people to forget, and so little time for them to assume? Just then, a plate slid across the table. Daniel. He didn't sit beside her, just across, quiet, unbothered. He nodded toward the casserole dish at the buffet. Yours was the only one I went back for. Clara smiled, grateful and aching all at once. Careful, you're going to start rumors. Daniel's eyes held hers, steady. Let him talk. She blinked. His words weren't defensive or flirty. They were freeing. As if what they said didn't matter nearly as much as what they did next. Daniel didn't move. Neither did she. Across the room, two women paused at the dessert table, arms full of pecan pie and sideways glances. Clara picked up her fork, slowly, deliberately, and took another bite of her own chicken spaghetti. Daniel mirrored her, casually scooping another mouthful onto his plate. She didn't know what the church ladies were whispering, but she had the oddest feeling. Whatever it was, they weren't finished. Daniel didn't look away. Instead, he picked up his fork, scooped another bite of her casserole, and ate it slowly, right there at the table where half the church could see. Then he leaned back, folded his arms, and nodded with a half smile. Could use a little more cheese on top, but don't tell anyone I said that. Clara laughed, surprised and even a little grateful. He set down his fork, wiping his hands on a napkin. You ever go to the Harvest Home Festival? She blinked. Haven't been in years. Why? He shrugged casually, but his eyes were steady. Thought you might want to go. It's next weekend. There's music and pie. You seem like a woman who appreciates pie. She raised an eyebrow. Are you asking me out under the guise of cobbler? I'm asking you to come to something that smells like cinnamon and doesn't involve grape fungus. Clara hesitated, then smiled. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. Later that afternoon, Clara made a detour on her way home. The church luncheon had left her full, but not just with food. Her heart was heavy with thoughts she couldn't quite name, let alone untangle. Maybe I need to start writing this stuff down, she muttered as she pulled into the parking lot of the local drugstore. Lord knows I can't afford a therapist. She wandered the dollar store's aisles, scanning for a simple journal, something with lines, not too fancy. Leather-bound felt pretentious. Spiral notebooks felt like homework. She settled on one with wildflowers on the cover and the words, "Grace in every season," stamped in gold across the front. That'll do, she whispered, tucking it under her arm. Then she heard it. That unmistakable voice. Is that Clara Matthews I see? Well, I'll be. Oh no. She pivoted fast and slunk behind the nearest end cap like a teenager in a prom dress clearance rack. A stack of air fresheners toppled slightly, but she caught them just in time. Of all people, it was Linda K. Sims, still blonde, still loud, and still 3 syllables deep in everybody's business. The woman hadn't changed since high school, except now she wore rhinestone reading glasses and carried a Coach purse big enough to smuggle a watermelon. Clara held her breath and peeked over a row of travel-sized shampoos. Lord, she whispered under her breath, I faced a fungus outbreak in my vineyard this week. Please don't make me face Linda K. too. Once the coast was clear, she power-walked to the checkout with her journal, like she was smuggling contraband. The cashier didn't even blink. If this story spoke to your heart, I'd love for you to join me for the next episode. Subscribe to Laotong Publishing here on YouTube and be the first to know when new episodes release, from The Widow's Vineyard and other faith-filled series from Grace and Love After 50. And if you know someone who needs a little hope today, feel free to share this with them. Stories are meant to be passed on. Until next time, may grace and love follow you always.